Before I begin, our family wants to sincerely thank everyone here and everyone who called, sent cards, flowers, food trays, and prayers. We would also like to thank Marinella's, Vince Brotherton, and Father Mike for their compassion and guidance. We sincerely appreciate all of your love and support. Thomas Arthur Passerello Jr. lived a life as extraordinary as any of us can hope to. To his friends, he was Tom. To his children, he was Dad. To his wife, he was Tommy. And to his 13 grandchildren, he was Pop. As the youngest of 6 children, I have had the privilege of loving, respecting, and caring for Dad for a large portion of his life. Dad was born in 1934, the son of Genevieve and Thomas Passerello in Somerville, New Jersey. He spent his childhood with 3 younger siblings, Betty, Carol, and Artie, on the family farm in White House, New Jersey, and then later moving to Main Street, White House in 1941. Dad's outlook on life was shaped by his close-knit Catholic family and the effects of the Great Depression. Although he was only a little boy, he remembers his family feeling lucky during those hard times because his father had a reliable job working on the railroad. As a very young boy and into his teen years, he worked many jobs to help his family. He would share his earnings with his sisters, and they would thank him by ironing his shirts and baking him pies. This was only the beginning of his life of very hard physical work. When I was younger, I heard the story of how my grandfather got my dad a job for the summer. He was only in 8th grade, but he was to build a home with my grandfather's friend, which he did without hesitation. And just recently, Dad shared how he saved $80 working for 2 summers to buy his first car, a '41 Ford Club Coupe in 1952. He even remembered paying $2 for plates and registration. Dad, his best friend George, and his sisters would all chip in for gas. He laughed, telling us that he never once had enough money to buy a full tank of gas. Dad was a huge Elvis fan. He adopted his hairstyle, which became his signature look, and lasted over 6 decades. When Dad went in for his 4th pacemaker, the nurses all nicknamed him Marty for Martin Scorsese. He had a big, thick head of hair, and although it changed color over the years, it was something he was very proud of. I also remember the stories of my dad working 3 jobs in most of his 20s. Mom would tell us that he was always thankful for those jobs and never spoke of being exhausted. Not only that, but Dad still had the energy to continue playing semi-pro baseball with his Uncle Ollie. Baseball was my dad's favorite sport. Whenever a family member played, he became their biggest fan and was not afraid to give instruction and voice his opinions. And of course, the umpires knew exactly which team he was rooting for. Over the years, his excitement was coined as Passerello passion. Dad was always working or playing ball. In high school, he ran a 10 flat in the 100-yard dash, and he held the long jump record of 22 feet for many years. But he was most proud to receive the math award in 8th grade. Though he'd brag about the award if asked, he would be hard-pressed to brag about any of his post-high school victories. The only accomplishment he'd gladly talk about was marrying Mom. The story goes on that one day, Dad and his best friend George were driving through the little town of Hampton, New Jersey, and he saw this redhead and immediately told George, "I will marry her someday." He saw her again at her high school dance, and the rest was history. Mom and Dad fell in love, got married, and had 6 children. This past November, they celebrated their 65th wedding anniversary. In 1956, Dad joined the International Painters Union. That began his long career as a supervisor for Claremont Interiors. He also started a side business spackling houses. He also fixed up 2 old houses on his weekends off and then rented them for extra income for his growing family. Because he had so much free time, he decided to build a store in front of his home. in Hampton, New Jersey. He built it from the ground up with the help of his father and his sons. He named the pizzeria and bakery Passerello's Town and Country Bakery. He worked 7 days a week for the next 2 years. In 1979, Dad had the courage to move his tribe to South Jersey to help Claremont with the construction boom in Atlantic City. At times, he was in charge of up to 90 employees. He was involved in building 7 casinos and was vice president for the last 10 years with Claremont. One of Dad's biggest accomplishments is that he never missed any of his kids' sporting events. With such a busy life, this was remarkable. After working night and day for so many years and putting his kids through Catholic school and college, it was now Dad's time to retire, relax, and enjoy himself. And that he did. Dad was an avid gardener, planting for an army each and every year. He enjoyed sharing his harvest with so many of us. Mom and Dad also spent 20 winters in Florida with their 3 sons and their families. They enjoyed visiting friends all over the country and took a trip of a lifetime to Italy, where Dad explored his family's hometown. During retirement, Dad continued his selfless devotion to others. He served as a member of the Assumption Society and loved every minute of volunteering at the Mount Carmel Festival. Dad was also a third-degree member of the Knights of Columbus, Council 8718. I remember when he received the Knight of the Year award. He was surprised and honored beyond belief. But this amazing man could easily have been named Knight of the Year every year. Dad extended himself so much more than the average person. He did more in his lifetime to show others he cared for them than anyone I know. Dad instilled in us what is most important in life, and that is to be a good person and to do for others every day. He did not preach about how to be a good person, but his actions spoke volumes. We are forever grateful to Dad and Mom for showing us that we could never be truly happy unless we are first truly good human beings. There is a saying, to plant a garden is to believe in the future. Dad cared for his garden in the same way he did the people he loved, with compassion and concentration. And though he isn't here to tend his wonderful garden anymore, we can relax knowing he is in the Garden of Eden, probably planting tomatoes right now. We are all heartbroken and miss Dad so much, but we know he is now God's right-hand man and resident painter. We have no doubt he is sharing his famous limoncello, his antipasta dish, his homemade wine, and tons of stories with his parents, Cindy, and his best friend, George, and all of our loved ones.